right, 6 p.m. Are you all ready?
Is ready.
Okay, welcome to the City Council meeting of Thursday, October 6, 2022. This meeting is being held hybrid as allowed by state law through March 31st, 2023. Let's start with the roll call.
Connie Denham.
Here.
Salem Derby.
Present.
Omar Gomez. J.P. Kaczynski.
Here.
I kind of heard that.
Can you hear me?
Can you turn your mic up, JP? Is that possible on your end?
I turned it, I think, to the maximum.
Sounds like it's in the control room and not on the speakers.
Right. It's not supposed to be on these, is it?
You folks aren't very loud either.
Let me keep going. Dave Munier. Tom Peak.
Here.
Brad Riley.
Here.
Dan Rist.
Here.
Owen Zara.
Present.
Okay, Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
All right. Okay, so it looks like we have two sets of minutes to approve, September 7th and September 21st. I'd entertain a motion.
Move that we approve the minutes of September 7th.
Second,
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, Barbara?
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
J.P. Kaczynski.
aye.
David Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zara.
Aye.
Move that we accept the minutes of September 21st.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Salem Derby.
Aye.
J.P. Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zara.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
All right, so now is public speak time. Is anybody here from the public like to speak on anything that's not on the agenda? Just be aware that it's important to keep your comments directed to the council, and we will be timing for 3 minutes, so please keep it to 3 minutes.
Great. Hi, my name's Laura Fisher. I know some of you. If you don't know me, I'm a member of the Easthampton Agricultural Commission. We don't often show up and get involved at these proceedings, but at the last two meetings, we have had a local farmer approach us with an issue. And at our last meeting, the commission authorized me to speak on behalf of us collectively and on behalf of the farmer to elevate this issue to make it something that's on your radar. So, if you don't know Mr. Chickwin, Bill, maybe you can raise your hand. Bill Chickwin is a farmer in Easthampton, and he owns what is a multi-generational farm. They raise grass-fed beef on Oliver Street. And I'm not going to get into the details of what's going on with the details of the issue, but it seems like to us, after he's appeared before us twice, that there's a longstanding issue that needs resolution for Mr. Chickwin to engage in farm succession planning. His farm has been in the Massachusetts APR program since the early 80s. It's one of the earliest APR transfers. And in Mr. Chickwin's opinion, there are some outstanding matters that need to be tied up with the state and the city so that he can engage in farm succession planning and keep his family on the farm and keep the farm operational and part of our community. We are going to be, as a commission, reaching out to some of you to get engaged in some conversations around this. It's our understanding that the city holds a minority restriction on the APR, and so we think it's prudent to engage the city in whatever capacity necessary to help facilitate these conversations with the state. We're ultimately going to be working with the Mass Department of Ag Resources, and I just ask you to please keep an eye out for this issue and to lend your support to facilitating a resolution that leaves Mr. Chickwin in a place where he feels that he can move forward with his farm succession planning and keep one of the great agricultural resources in town that we have still functioning. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak to an issue that's not on our agenda? And if you're hybrid, you can just use the raise hand emoji to let us know that you'd like to speak. Okay, seeing none. Communication from elected officials and boards, I don't believe we have any. It does not, oh,
Oh, I didn't know if, never mind.
okay. I don't see the mayor.
In here.
Oh, you forgot about Owen.
Oh, sorry, Owen.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
Sounded like a bad penny.
Didn't see ya.
Just a few quick things. I mean, first of all, I just want to acknowledge the reason that we are meeting today on Thursday, and I wanted to thank the council again, certainly on behalf of the Jewish community, for being willing to be flexible in meeting times. And I also want to acknowledge that this, I would hope, in terms of my opinion, as a welcoming community, that being flexible about moving meetings for days that might conflict with communities of faith or other communities with days of significance that we would extend that certainly to anybody. And so, but thank you again to the council for being flexible about that. I also just wanted to acknowledge next Monday is Indigenous Peoples Day. It's the second time now that this community is observing it in lieu of Columbus Day, and I wanted to thank the council for the work around making that change, as well as some of the significant work we did recently with our resolution around the state flag. And then lastly, I just want to encourage anybody who's listening, and certainly members of this council, to vote yes on question 4. It's important to talk about this publicly because it did not make it into the educational packet, and it will be on the back of the ballot. This is the ballot question that will grant driver's licenses to unregistered individuals. And speaking purely as the chair of public safety, I think it's important that every driver on our road has gone through the same testing as everybody to make sure that they're safe to drive, that their vehicles are registered, that their vehicles are inspected, that they're insured. And I think so purely just from that standpoint, this is a very reasonable ballot question. That's already passed on Beacon Hill, by the way, and also something in place in 16 other states with demonstrable evidence that it significantly reduces accidents. So those are really the 3 things, and thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Zaret. I don't believe the mayor is on hybrid, and the mayor's not here.
She's not there.
So I don't believe we have correspondence from the president or vice president. So I guess we can move directly to reports of standing committees. Finance, Councilor Rist.
Yes, Mr. Vice President. Mr. President, that's
Acting.
more appropriate.
Thank you.
We will have a meeting next Wednesday. We will deal with the items under new business. And I wanted to inform the council that I hope to deal with the charter required review of elected officials, board and committee stipends. I'm going to move that forward with a suggestion for debate and hopefully bring it back to the council soon. I believe since it is an ordinance, those are ordinance changes, they will need a public hearing. So I want to start that conversation again. So any councilors that are interested in the next term, salaries for council should come to the meeting. So that concludes.
And it looks like we might have a extension needed for the charter required review of elected officials.
Yes, may I have an extension of 90 days, please?
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for an extension of the charter required review of elected officials, board and committee stipends. Any further discussion? Barbara?
Jake Krasinski?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
sorry. All right. Tom Peak?
Aye.
Brad Riley?
Aye.
Dan Rist?
Aye.
Owen Zaret?
Aye.
Connie Denham?
Aye.
Salem Derby?
Aye. And just to be clear, it's next Wednesday, October 12th?
Okay, what did I say? I'm sorry.
No,
It
you didn't
is
say
October.
Yeah,
12th,
October
yes.
12th, yeah.
A week from yesterday, yes.
A week from yesterday.
Gotta remember, today's Thursday.
At 5 p.m.?
5, no,
Oh.
5:15
5:15.
for that gentleman right there.
Okay, good.
5:15.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Councilor Rist. Public
I
safety,
did make
Councilor
that
Zaret.
Oh, wow, thank you. Well, we always set a record today. So we have not met again since our last meeting. We do have a meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, October 11th at 6 p.m. downstairs in Conference Room 1. At that time, we will have a quarterly report from the police department. We will be discussing the new city quick actions. And we will also be hopefully coming to some conclusion and consensus on the ordinance review committee's final report. Additionally, I believe that there have been some traffic counting at South and Main Street, so if I have an update then, I'll present it at that time. And I feel like there was something else I wanted to say, but that concludes.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Zara. And it looks like appointments, maybe no report?
Yeah, there's nothing to report, and there's no business before us, so there is currently no scheduled meetings, and thus concludes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Riley. An ordinance, just an update. We did meet on Tuesday. We did discuss looking at amending city ordinances, Chapter 7, Section 7-17, to add the Council of Aging Program Director at grade D. And that was something that we actually voted to move forward to the full council. And so I would like to set a public hearing. I believe, what is our next meeting, Barbara? Do you have that off the top? October 19th at 6 p.m. in these chambers, and that's in the form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Riley.
So I just wanted to clarify, because it was a clerical error on the documents. The actual position is program manager, not director. So the director of the Council on Aging wanted us to make sure that we made that clerical change. That's all.
Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
When you see it right in front of you, it's hard to remember that. Yeah, program manager, not director, just so everybody's clear.
Is that how it was in there? Was that my mistake or that
I'm not
mistake?
sure. It might have been from their end, but it's not a program director, it's a program manager.
Barbara never
So-
makes mistakes.
I know. But we do have a motion in a second, and so unless we have further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote.
Okay, who am I starting with here? It feels like, sorry, a little confusing here today. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Connie Dunham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Okay, so that will be October 19th at 6 p.m. We also have a request to amend the city ordinances, the storage of unregistered vehicles. One of the things we're waiting for with that was solicitor review. I talked to the president this evening. He felt like the simplicity of it didn't necessarily require an extensive review from the solicitor. And so we are going to take this up at our next meeting. And I would like to set a public hearing for November 2nd in these chambers. That's a form of motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion that I keep forgetting. I'm the one that has to say this. Oh, Councilor Rist.
I'm a little concerned. I don't know the ordinance, so I apologize. But is there enforcement of storage of unregistered vehicles involved? Because if there is, lack of a city attorney review concerns me.
So this is, not to get too far into the weeds, but this is a existing ordinance that it's an amending of the language to make it a little bit more clear, and it's very simple.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
I just didn't know if it was new.
No worries. So we have a motion and a second. Barbara?
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Connie Dunham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Tom
Yes.
Peak.
Aye.
Okay. And just one of the things, we did have quite a few people come to discuss the CPC ordinance, and I just let them know that we are going to be setting a meeting, our next meeting, where we'll discuss that in its entirety. And so we did have an extensive public speak at our meeting on Tuesday. I did let people know that this next meeting is going to be a working meeting of the committee, and I'm going to be limiting public speak. So we can get into the work that we need to do to discuss the ordinance. And as soon as that date is set, we will announce it, but we don't have the date as of this moment. I just haven't been able to get with the committee members. I don't think I have anything to extend, so that ends my report. Property. And no report?
No report this evening from property.
Okay. Thank you, JP. Rules and Government Relations.
Yes, we will have a meeting next Thursday at 5 p.m. to discuss the charter reviews that I put in to the new business to be reviewed regarding a 4-year term for the mayor, little hole in the charter, which is still based on a 2-year term. For instance, that's one of them. So I suggest if you're interested in that, please come.
Thank you. And we don't have any old business. We do have some new business. And Councilor Riss, do you want to?
Sure. I'd like to move that the Eversource pole location on Mineral Street be moved to property for review.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, Barbara.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Okay, and before we move to the next one, this one does need to have a public hearing, and so I'm going to move that we set a public hearing for the Eversource pole location on Mineral Street for October 19th at 6 p.m. in these chambers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hey, Barbara.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Great. Thank you, Councilor Rist.
I move that the draft suggestions on charter changes, RE vacancy in office of the mayor for a 4-year term be sent to the Rules and Government Relations Committee for review.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, Barbara.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Councilor Rist.
I move that the annual tax classification hearing request from the Board of Assessors be moved to the Finance Committee for review.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Barbara.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
I'm going to move the following 3 transfers and appropriations at once. These will all be first readings. We have an interdepartmental transfer of $281 to be transferred from the reserve fund to be transferred to the insurance prior fiscal year bills, $281 for the following purpose: cover unexpected insurance expenses for auto insurance for fiscal year 2022 due to a prior year audit. USI Insurance audit found outstanding remaining premium costs. We have a supplemental appropriation from the Community Preservation Act Committee. The amount requested is $190,000 to be appropriated from the CPA Reserve for Open Space, $55,076, and the CPA Reserve Fund, $134,924, for a total of $190,000. To be appropriated to the Nonotuck Park Pool Restoration Construction Project, $190,000. For the following purpose: for the final design and construction funds for the rehabilitation and restoration of the pool and surrounding recreation area. Specific improvements include replacement of pool equipment, pool membrane, pool deck, adding shade structures, installation of fencing, and ADA improvements. The last supplemental appropriation is also from the Community Preservation Act for the following appropriation of $65,202. To be appropriated from the CPA Reserve for Open Space, $59,914, and the CPA Undesignated Fund, $5,288, for a total of $65,202. To be appropriated to the Mount Tom Trailhead Park Additional Funds account, $65,202, for the following purpose: additional funding for unanticipated construction costs related to the construction of Mount Tom North Trailhead Park. In one motion, I ask that these 3 aforementioned items be sent to Finance Committee for review, and that a public hearing for October 19th in these chambers be set.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to send the interdepartmental transfer and the 2 supplemental appropriations from the CPA fund to finance. Barbara.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye. And that is our agenda. I have the.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Barbara.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
6:19, it's a
adjourned.
new record. No, it's not. I
It's
think
not,
we did
it's
a
not.
6:10 one.
We did.
It's definitely a term record.
It's
though.
definitely,
I wanted to ask a question. I don't know who to ask.
Oh, take
We're
your pick.
all here.
Take your pick.
But I used to live at Orchard View, the senior housing on Everett Street. And there isn't a crosswalk across there from the Orchard View to the other side of the street. And a lot of speeding goes on there, and I
Yeah.
think they really need a crosswalk for the
Mr.
senior
Zaret,
citizens.
maybe he can help you because he's
Yeah,
in
do you
charge of
have-
public safety.
Do you have my email address?